guys, this is Jane Celia, i.e. Bethesda Star, Targeted Shaman. I'm also a certified herbalist and a Reiki master, and I do flower essences. I'm here today to do some channeling. I'm going to ask some questions about targeting. If you're unfamiliar with that term, please go to targetedjustice.com. So it's summer solstice, and any one of the high holidays throughout the year are an opportunity for the veil to be thin between the worlds. And in many traditions, that was a time of joy and celebration. Unfortunately, it's been co-opted a little by negative energies, but it's important to keep celebrating with joy and love and prosperity and concern for the earth and other people during these times too, to counteract some of those other activities that came much later than the energy of the goddess, which is ancient and healing. And so I'm sitting on the floor because I like to channel when I'm sitting on the floor. For some reason, I think it's really important for me to be connected to the earth. And I work with a lot of herbs, and this particular herb is very common to most people. It's white sage from California. And I use it for clearing, as most people do. Smudge my cat. So it's Saturday. I think it's like the 21st or the 22nd. It's solstice energy. So I'm going to ask a few questions first about solstice. One of my primary spiritual guides is the goddess Isis. And so I will be going to her for some questions. If any other enlightened beings or ascended masters appear, I may do that channeling as well. Just when you channel, you make sure it's very high vibration and it feels right. So I've got my candle here and my drum, but I think I'm going to use a rattle. And then this is rose water. Anybody that's watching this healing and protective and joyful energy, the energy of rose. I love rose. I make a lot of rose flower essence. So let's begin. So I see Isis. She came quickly because I've been communicating with her the last couple days. So she's sort of right there. I always see her on a golden throne in a temple. This is a temple in upper world. There's three major worlds that shamans travel in. And I know psychics don't follow the same sort of orchestration of energy, but I always perceive her in upper world, the place of the ascended masters. So I usually stand a little bit below her. Sometimes she's had me sit beside her, but not very often. So I'm asking about solstice. What does it mean for humanity? What does it mean for the earth? So she's showing me the earth just covered in a golden light. You know, half the earth is in gold. It appears to be the time of the divine masculine, the divine qualities of the male. And I see a lion. And not in a ferocious sense. It's the lion, the pride, the beauty of the divine male and the energy of gold and the self possession, I guess is the word, of a lion who has done a job proudly, which may have been protecting. So I see a lot of gold energy in the male, and a time for, it's the return of the male, this solstice, summer solstice. Male is activity and manifestation, and the light. The feminine, it's the going into the womb, into the dark. But this is a time of the return of the light. We have all light all year, but this is a time when it's the longest day, and it's a time for men to really value their divine selves and all that they can manifest for planet Earth. And within each one of us, it's a time to honor that divine male. What light have we brought? What have we manifested? I am seeing sort of trees blowing in the wind, and it feels as if everything is imbued with the light, the returning light, the return of the king. And the king is dominant for a while, and then we will go back in to the fall and winter, which are the feminine and contemplation, and the time of the womb, the bear going into hibernation and creating, thought, new seeds for the spring. But this is the return of the male, the king, the lion, and not proud in a sense of pride, but a deep, contemplative, grounded pride in who I have protected and who benefits from my wisdom. It's not ego, it's duty. And that would be the divine male. So if you're a man, celebrate what is divine in you and how you who you protect and how they benefit. And it's like a blanket of golden light I see she's showing me. It's a really quiet time of just being and being grateful for the return of the light. The light always returns. So I was going to ask Isis. Isis is not a guide I thought I would have, because I'm a very kind of soft person, compassionate, nurturing, loving. I'm a double Capricorn. Isis is very strong, and she makes things happen, and she draws boundaries, and she is, if I had to pick someone from the tarot, she would be the Queen of Swords. And I always thought of myself as the Queen of Wands or the Queen of Cups. One is emotion and one is love. But she came into my life, I think, to develop me from just that loving and compassionate mother energy. Bethesda is the healing pool of water, into the world as someone that expresses power of boundaries. And yes, do this. No, don't, creating, manifesting in the world. And that's, she says, yes. She's a little more stern. Lady Guadalupe, when I first got to Santa Fe, was my primary, and she's the merciful goddess, the loving, bring me your sick and your, she's that. So it's a little bit of a leap for me, and it's a challenge because whoever is your guides to a certain extent is where you are energetically to a certain degree, or where you're being drawn. Even with power animals, children are born with baby power animals, and then they progress and wolf was mine. And then I went to jaguar. I didn't like that at all, because wolf, like dog, I love that wolf, that lone wolf energy. And they said, no, you're moving into it. So things change around you, and for your own good and for your own development. When you're in touch with those energies, and when you're understanding them and believing, because we all have access to these energies. So I'm going to I've changed the question a little bit, because I always and often have that question: why are targets targeted? And we know the logical reasons. You're a truth teller, you're a whistleblower, you're an adept, you're a spiritual adept, you're scientifically advanced, you have technology they want to control or usurp, take. Or you're just in the wrong place at the wrong time. But there collectively seems to be a commonality I found. And one thing is, kindness and caring for humanity. I found, as I watch YouTube videos made by targets, and, I meet targets, and just looking at my own personality, what I've always cared about. I always was outspoken. I was a truth teller. I couldn't lie. I couldn't manipulate. I couldn't do all the things it seemed like everyone else was doing to survive. I just couldn't do it. So, and then I feel like maybe it's gone on for centuries and centuries and centuries, and I believe it has. But I wanted to get it, from another point of view. So, Rose is the goddess. It's kind of honoring the divine feminine with this. So, so I'm seeing, and I've seen this before, the red blood over the door. What was that? That was very biblical. People were marked. Okay, I see huge wars, the Christian wars, in the Middle East, carrying the image of a group of people carrying the cross. I'm just seeing, flashes, era after era after era. The Inquisition, the witches being hung. Whenever we get our power, and every era was different, because there was different weapons, there was different laws, there was different moralities. Okay. She's showing me, even from God, that we split from, we were a soul group. Trail of tears, every incarnation. Once we start to rise up, so it's a rising up and then crashing down. They're crashing down on us lifetime after lifetime. She's showing me. We've always been the same. We're always bringing the light. We're always bringing the truth over and over. But it's just, they're waiting. They're waiting. She's showing me. They, being the invaders, the reptilian invaders, 500,000 years ago, even, they came to Earth. They've been thrown off their own planet. They've been thrown off many planets, she's showing me. Because what they do is they destroy every planet. They use up all the resources, disable. They have they don't have the same brain. It's all about like a alligator, eating, swallowing, absorb, just consuming, killing. No morality. You don't have to wonder anymore why they do what they do. She's saying it's not in their brain. So don't ask why. It's not there. It's psychopathic. is another word we have for that same energy, which is a reptilian brain. And they are disguised in humans. They are mostly in human form, although she's showing me they're working off Earth too, through the human reptilian entities. Okay, so what do we do? Okay. Why I'm seeing this, but Rose, like a military procedure, rows of, okay, it looks like old-fashioned swords and shields, military armor at the ocean. For some reason we're waiting and these ships are coming. Okay. So I thought they were the enemies. No, it's more of us. They come from the east, they come from the west, they come from the north. It's joining together, putting down our differences. That's how they do it. They divide us between Christian, shaman, black, white, male, female, different nations. So they divide us. Oh, that is seeing like basically cut up with a knife into different, not physically, but geographically. It does remind me of the Lord of the Rings when all the different beings join together for the one enemy. Mordor, what's it was called? What was the enemy that was in that fire? So they joined, all the middle worlds joined, the elves, the fairies, the humans, the dwarves, the hobbits. So it's an analogy that I'm seeing. And yes, that was an analogy for what we had. That was a channel, that was a high vibrational movie to show us what we need to do. Even, even using the ancestors. In the movie, it was sort of the dead, and I think that was the cave, when he went into the cave, and there was the dead, and he harnessed them. We don't do that. But we do use the ancestors and the tree spirits and all. So it's an alignment. And there's also, like, I see it like, no more guilt about your power. Okay, that's huge. We keep throwing our power away. Like we're not good enough. We're extremely powerful. We are God. We are chips off of the Godhead. God expressing himself as each one of us. Through us, he, she experiences life on the planet. And we have a choice. Are we going to turn on God or turn on fear? This is huge. I'm seeing. Turn on your God switch. Turn on your God switch. Means no more, I'm not good enough. I'm not powerful. Turn it all on collectively. One way they always get us is guilt. There's some sort of guilt about power. And I think it goes back centuries. Well, certainly the Inquisition does. If we're powerful, we're going to be hung. If we're powerful, we're going to, be starved. There's all these things. So they have collectively, generationally kept us afraid of our power. And you may think you're being powerful, but I'm not sure. There's a certain sort of power that we need to turn on, and it's the God power. You'll know when you start to stream it, it'll come effortlessly. And it is a joining together. Because she's saying, it needs, this is it. We need to do. It doesn't take everybody, she's saying. It's a percentage. And I've kind of always felt that too. So collectively throughout the centuries, we have been fighting this same battle, the same people. Now it's artificial intelligence. Before, it could have been rocks. We were stoned to death or drowned, or, I see arrows and cannons, whatever. It's over and over and over. And it's the same. It's evil and good. It's just different names of these wars, but it's always the same. And they are the same, whether it was a civil war or now, or, the cavalry and the natives, it's always, or the Inquisition and the Satanists of the Catholic Church were trying to kill the witches. It's the light. It's love and it's hate. So if you have any fear of power, this is the time to let it go. Because it's like they got you in the second shock. You're like, oh, I can't. Okay, you do. And this will be the end. Reclaim your power on this planet. This is your planet, Earth. It's humans. The reptilians were invaders. So I don't know what's happening outside, but I feel like there's more to this puzzle, but I'm going to move on a little bit. Yeah, I guess that's going to be it for right now with Isis. I do also I have channeled Prince and Princess Diana. I did channel Michael Jackson, but in a whole different way. I wrote a screenplay about what had really happened to him. And these are all beings that were here to help us find our heart and our power and love. So happy solstice. Rejoice in the golden light within you and without. The light always returns. Love to you guys.